Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you're joining me for this video. Thank you once again for clicking on the Penboy Roy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is the Pelikan M800 Stone Garden Fountain Pen. I've gone over the history of the Pelikan brand in the past. If you're interested in more detailed information and dates, check out my previous Pelikan M120 fountain pen review. The link will be in the script below. This Pelikan special edition in the M800 Souverain series is a new pen called the Stone Garden. Now, despite how that sounds, the Stone Garden is in no way referring to the effects of clam baking or token down herbal brownies. No, it's designed with the concept of a calming place to escape the chaotic craziness of modern life, creating a soothing sense of peace from being in a calm stone garden, using unchanged manufacturing procedures that proved successful for the brand, with the only deviation being the use of specially selected acrylics and resins to accentuate the intended presentation. That's all I have for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone. Those elements about the pen that are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad depending on you. The nib is a proprietary, approximately number 6 sized 18 karat gold two-tone nib, branded with the logo of a mama pelican feeding her baby by way of vomiting down the baby's face. It has the well-known scrollwork found on Pelikan pens, as well as the gold content markings and the nib width designation. This one is an extra fine. The feed is the standard Pelikan plastic feed found in Pelikan pens. The nib and feed sit in a housing that is screwed into the navy blue resin injection molded grip section that is slightly flared at the edge. The edge of the grip is decorated with a 24 karat gold plated rimmed collar. The threads on the grip are made of the same resin as the grip and screws into the cap in 3/4 of a turn. Following the threads is the exclusive flake checkered acrylic Pelikan used in giving the user the calming sensation experienced in a peaceful stone garden. The pen bulges out ever so slightly in its cylindrical shape, where it comes to a flat end to meet the piston knob, adorned with a 24 karat plated ring ×2. The piston knob is a cylinder made of the same injection molded navy blue resin as the grip. The end of the piston knob is slightly rounded and unadorned. Here's an interesting fact about the piston knob. It's removable using the same wrench included with TWSBI pens. The cap is more of the same injection molded resin seen in the grip and piston knob. The finial is the standard step design Pelikan finial with the baby bird eating puke logo laser engraved. The clip is the standard Pelikan clip with nostrils at the top and the long mutated beak that comes to a bulged flare-up to assist in clipping to clothing. The center band is a thin double band style center band that has the brand name, Germany, and Souverain impressed in 3D block letters around it in what appears to be a random orientation that doesn't seem to line up with the clip. The pen was packaged in the standard white cardboard box branded Pelikan. Inside that box is a sturdy two-tone shoebox style box also branded Pelikan with its logo. Lifting the top reveals a pretend leather envelope tied up in a nice brown bow with your pen inside atop a bedding that is also a secret compartment. Under your bedding is your information booklets with warranty info and instructions. That's all I have for the neutral zone. Moving on to the good. Those elements about the pen that are good. When I get past the fact that the line width of this extra fine nib is equivalent to a standard European paintbrush, I have to say that the tuning and the adjusting of this nib is spectacular. It is one of the smoother nibs I've ever written with. It's glassy smooth in a way that doesn't feel amateur in the way you'd see in a nib simply smoothed out with micromesh over and over. It's consistent and well finished. The smoothness of the tipping doesn't change, even in the slightest rotation of the nib. The nib never hard starts, skips, or baby's bottom on paper. The pen works as a pen should. The nib is bouncy at the same time, not at all too soft, nor is it too stiff. It can achieve a nominal amount of line variation, however, being that this is not how it was intended to be used, I wouldn't say to use it for your flex writing every day. It's moderate in terms of wetness without being dry or a gusher. It gives inks with shading properties their time to shine. The balance of the pen while writing is comfortable as well. It's a touch on the heavier side as well as on the girthier side. However, I don't imagine that this will fatigue most writers. Whether posted or not, I found that the balance remains unaffected. The posting has a secure suction cup feel to it, and although it doesn't post too deeply, I never actually felt that there was any risk of flinging it off while writing. Regarding the appearance of the pen, one can only appreciate the elegant precision scroll work and logo of the nib. The two-tone look is also very well done, being that those who crafted this nib colored within the lines with an obsessive diligence. There isn't any bleed over in the colors of the two tones like occasionally seen in Visconti nibs that share the same price of this pen, if not more. Speaking about the acrylic of the body, it's simply beautiful in how the different colors interlock with each other, creating a look that is similar to that of colorful natural rock formations glimmering under a clear ripple of running water from a stream. The build quality is solid and feels substantial in the hand. It certainly is a pen that when held makes the bearer feel luxury and gives the immediate impression that the pen they are holding is in fact expensive. And speaking of expensive, moving on to the bad, let's talk coin. This pen has an MSRP of $775. With retailers online in the US, this pen is discounted down to $620. That's a lot of cheddar. And it's a damn crying shame because that price makes this pen out of reach for a good portion of the fountain pen virus infected throughout the world. Now that's not to say that the work and craftsmanship is not deserving of the price. It's just saying that there will be far fewer people able to appreciate the craftsmanship and work that went into this pen due to the additional cost that goes into importing and distribution. Oh well. At least in terms of price, being a special edition, it isn't exorbitantly marked up, but it's still getting hit over the head. That's all I have for the bad. Moving on to the ugly. Those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. So, if this part of the show was ever important, it is ever more so now, because I'm about to nitpick the crap out of it, so that in the event that you want this pen but can't afford it, perhaps the following anal retentiveness will help you feel better, or maybe a little bit better, about not being able to get it. Now let me start with the injection molded portions of the pen. The navy blue grip, piston knob, and cap all have relief marks that are indicative of injection molding. That annoys me when a pen costs as much as it does. For this much money, I don't want to see relief marks or anything that has to do with injection molding, including the material. I want through and through acrylic, period. Next thing, if you look really closely, there is a seam that runs down the body of the acrylic. It's subtle, but at the same time noticeable. This comes from the manufacturing process where the material is rolled like a tortilla as opposed to lathed in turn. This may not be entirely noticeable on some standard models because they are striped patterns, but in a pattern like this one, it is not camouflaged and was for me a real bummer. That's all I have for the ugly. It's high noon, decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the Pelikan M800 Stone Garden? I think that the type of person that would buy this pen is the type of person that has to have two things. One, money, be it from saving up or by virtue of having a job that pays lots of money. And two, experience in fountain pens. If any one of the two elements are missing, money or experience, I don't think it's quite a match made in heaven. I do love the qualities of this pen, and it sure is a grail pen for many. But consider this for a second. If you're not experienced with fountain pens, perhaps getting this pen will leave you feeling lacking, being that there are nuances about this pen that are gorgeous, but can be easily overlooked by someone without an experienced eye for fountain pens. Let me give you an example. A beer drinker suddenly switching to wine may not be able to tell the difference between a $7 bottle of wine from 7-Eleven versus a 120-year-old $600 bottle of wine, whereas a sommelier definitely could. This pen is the expensive 120-year-old wine. And if you're a beer drinker looking to get into wines, maybe it's better to start off with a nice $20 bottle instead. Don't go for the $7 7-Eleven wine, but do try something to treat yourself that you can appreciate without having to sacrifice all the different pens that are below this price and can be fulfilling to you. If you're at the point where you have all the pens in between the $20 wine and the 120-year-old $600 wine, and have money for this pen, then it's a solid buy. By the way, if you're watching this and you don't get that this whole comparison is a metaphor, then you're in immediate danger of bodily harm by continuing to use fountain pens because it has a pointy end. Please put it down and just use crayons. That was my review of the Pelikan M800 Stone Garden fountain pen. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks again goes out to my sponsors, Kenro Industries and Gold Spot Pens, and most importantly, thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.